Hi everyone, my name's Ian and I'd like to welcome you to another 5-minute family devotion from Engadine Heathcote Anglican Church. Now we learnt yesterday that Jesus is in control as he healed a centurion's servant. The centurion had great faith and Jesus healed his servant from a town away. Now today we're going to learn about another situation where Jesus was in control. Now you're going to need mum or dad's phone because in a while I'm going to need them to help you send a text message to somebody who might like to know a little bit more about this story that we're finding out about today. Today's story is from Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 to 27. Well, as I tell the story today, a bunch of emojis are going to come up on the board. And if you see them, remember them, type them into the phone, and then you'll have a story that we learn about today that you can send to someone else. Well, Jesus had just done some amazing things. He'd healed people and lots of people were amazed. His disciples were also amazed by the things that Jesus had been doing. They knew he was great, but they didn't really know that Jesus was God yet. Well, Jesus and his disciples left the crowds alone and they got into a boat and headed out onto the lake. Some of Jesus' disciples were fishermen, and so they knew how to handle themselves in a boat. Things started out really nicely, but as they got further and further out into the lake, the clouds started to roll in, the wind started to pick up, and all of a sudden a furious storm came up on the lake. The waves started to splash over the boat. The disciples, they were incredibly afraid. They were afraid, but Jesus wasn't. He was sleeping in the boat, even though this storm was raging. Now the disciples woke Jesus up and said to him, "Lord, save us! We're going to drown." Well, Jesus got up and said to the disciples, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then Jesus got up and told the wind and the waves to calm down. And that is exactly what they did. It was completely calm. The disciples in the boat, they had their minds blown. They were amazed at what Jesus had just done, and they looked at each other and were really puzzled and said, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." You see, Jesus is in control. Even when the wind and the waves beat against the boat, Jesus didn't worry because he knew he was in control of them. He calmed them just by speaking. Now, Jesus showed that he had the same control as God. Jesus said the disciples had little faith. Faith is the same as trust. They needed to trust Jesus and know that he was in control. Now, boys and girls, Jesus is still in control. And he showed that for us by dying and rising again for our sins. He is alive now and is still in control. Now we need to make sure that we trust that Jesus is in control, especially now when things are different, because he still loves and cares for us very much. Now in a couple of minutes, a couple of things are going to come up on the board. And as a family, I'd like to invite you to read, to think, and to pray. Now as each one of those come up, pause the video so you can do that together as a family. And then at the end, I want you to send a text message to a friend and tell them about the story that you just heard.